Welcome to the Recovery Field Office for Senior Leaders course. Responding to natural and man-made disasters is one of the most important missions of the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers and one of the most gratifying. My name is Karen Durham Aguilera. I am the Director of Contingency Operations and Homeland Security for the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers at the headquarters. This portfolio includes flood risk management, the PLA 499 program, critical infrastructure, the G3 SHOP, the G2, the current and future operations, support to the combatant commands, and much more. And it includes our UOC, where we task and organize teams from across the Corps of Engineers to respond to contingencies, both domestics and overseas. If you are the commander of a recovery field office or a senior leader in support of that recovery field office, first and foremost, know your authorities. When a disaster is declared by the President and the direct federal assistance is authorized, then FEMA acts as the National Response Emergency Manager, and we, the Corps of Engineers, are ESF3, or Emergency Support Function 3, to provide the public works and engineering. If you are the RFO commander, you are responsible on the ground for execution of that mission. This is a mission assignment that we've agreed to with FEMA for a specific scope and a specific amount of money. You are not the team, but you are part of the team, and the team will coalesce around you. This will be high adventure, high tempo, high visibility from all angles, both local, state, and national. High scrutiny from the media, from congressional delegation, from everybody that could be affected by this. It's not uncommon for a recovery field office to be set up for 90 days. As many as 500 people from the Corps of Engineers could deploy for that short-term mission. An RFO is located near a disaster site. The reason for that is we have a dedicated team and they are focused solely on that mission. As is normal for all work throughout the Corps of Engineers, we have to have accountability and fiscal stewardship for everything that we do, first, foremost, and always. EngineLink is our database of record. Please be sure that the PRT mission managers and the teams keep it current. We depend on it. For a successful RFO, leadership is key. Calm, precise, and confident. There are key leaders from the core team that will help you. The ESF3 cadre, the team leaders or assistant team leaders, the local government liaisons, they are there in your support and to be the interface with FEMA to make sure that we carry out the mission as intended. Think about closeout as soon as the RFO is established. Things will be hectic, but an orderly close of mission is essential. Very important to have district leadership involved in the RFO, because when that mission is over, we will be counting on you to tidy things up and close the mission out in an accountable manner. At any time while you're taking this course or during the process of an RFO itself, give us your input. We use it to help you and to make sure that we continue to get better. In closing, thank you for taking time for this course. Good luck as you lead your team to support our nation and help citizens recover from the effects of disasters. And finally, at any time, feel free to reach out to the UOC, to the cadre, to the G3, or me for help, questions, or if you just want to talk. Thank you.
A Recovery Field Office, or RFO, is established to provide the supported district office space near the disaster area and near the FEMA Joint Field Office, or JFO. It is from this office that the FEMA-generated mission assignments to the USACE are managed and executed. Leadership and support personnel from the supported district work at the RFO, supported by the USACE Planning and Response Teams, PRTs, from across the USACE. There have been 12 recovery field offices established since 2003. In the past, RFO establishment has been performed with little or no guidance providing best practices or issues to avoid. This short video is provided to help those who are in RFO leadership positions better understand who works in the RFO, the doctrinal relationships in the USACE and with FEMA, and how RFOs have operated in the past. The topics covered in this session directly respond to the issues and best practices observed over the years. The issues and best practices are ones that have been raised by RFO commanders and deputy commanders, MSC and district deputy commanders, as well as senior civilians who were involved with or operated an RFO. The purpose of this video is to provide an overview of the RFO, to present some best practices, and to discuss mistakes to avoid. It does not replace the experience of serving in an RFO, but provides reference points from which to ask additional questions and initiate operations. The main topics covered include FEMA mission assignments, establishing the RFO, USACE planning and response teams, contracting, automated systems and essential elements of information, command and support relationships and internal RFO structure, and best practices. Establishing, operating, and closing out a USACE RFO is different from a district's normal daily operations and is often performed only once during a commander's tenure. The differences are similar to those found when establishing operations in an OCONUS contingency environment. There are new customers and end users, as well as new missions that on the surface look similar to the norm, but have vastly different requirements. If not deliberately thought through, these differences can lead to initial operations being inefficient, confusing to the command and the response teams, and at times a less than optimal operating environment. The USACE has never failed a FEMA mission, and all of the RFOs have been successful. Two that were noteworthy were the Mobile District in 2004 during the multiple hurricane strikes across Alabama and Florida, including Charlie, Francis, Ivan, and Jean, and Memphis District in 2005 for Hurricane Katrina. Both of these RFOs had senior staff members from the supported districts, and those staff members had extensive experience in Stafford Act responses.
A recovery field office is basically established to support FEMA mission assignments. It's not to do other core work or things like that, but following a disaster, if we get into mission assignments that involve a large number of quality assurance personnel and it's far away from the district, you need some type of establishment, a building, in order to process those people and have a working location. And it does involve a FEMA mission assignment to pay for that building, but then you get into the type of support you would need for that number of personnel. And in the example of Hurricane Katrina, I was the district emergency manager for Memphis District at the time, and we established a recovery field office in Baton Rouge, Louisiana. And in 3 weeks, I think we went up to over 1,200 people working out of the recovery field office. So when you have that number of people, you have to bring in the support personnel, contracting, resource management, human resources. So it's really that whole support organization for the response.
The RFO Prescripted MA provides $1 million in funds for the facility and equipment supplies, not personnel. Mission-specific personnel are funded under each mission's MA. Other personnel, typically overhead functions, are funded under the Regional Activation MA. In addition to receiving the MA, which provides funding authorization, FEMA will provide a task order. This provides the go-ahead to execute the work. In this case, lease the RFO facility and equipment. The supported district's Real Estate Division and Logistics Division, in collaboration with the FEMA regions or the JFO's Logistics section, identifies and leases the facility. Once the FEMA logistics personnel agree with the proposed facility, including the space, cost, and equipment required, FEMA will issue the task order. In many cases, FEMA logistics is consumed with response distribution and establishing the JFO and provides the task order with minimal discussion and collaboration, mostly wanting to ensure the lease price is reasonable for the geographic area. Once the facility is secured, equipment delivery dates are confirmed, and the ACE IT Enterprise Emergency Response Team has a date to wire the RFO. ENGLink taskers for support and mission personnel are submitted for personnel to move forward on the date the RFO is ready for occupancy and operations.
Day-to-day rhythm usually starts at 7 o'clock. Folks arrive. The normal tour of duty is from 7 a.m. to about 7:30 p.m. It's usually a 12-hour day with 30 minutes for lunch. Usually I'll start off in the morning with a staff meeting for those staffs that support the execution part. In the evening, there's an execution staff meeting for the production, it's called. So how are we doing on getting debris removal, how are we doing on getting the blue roofs on houses, those things are done in the evening, whereas the staff meeting on how their staff is supporting with the IT support, personnel comings and goings, those things are generally done in the morning. After that staff meeting, folks immediately go to work. They're processing newcomers coming in. That's one of the functions of the RSOI group. They process those in, give them the briefings, let them know what they're going to be doing, check them for medical screening and safety and those kind of things, make sure they've got all the equipment they need to do their job, get them on the rolls, and then they're ready to go to work. So you have the logisticians that are processing people in administratively, doing the payroll and those kind of things. And then each of the missions has their own little area where they're doing the debris, or they're doing the housing, or they're doing the roofing. And those areas, people coming and going to go out to the field to check on the contractors, mod the contractors, check on the work sites, make sure that production is going on the way we'd hoped and forecast for the next days.
Well, my name is Colonel John Christensen. I'm currently the Middle East District Commander. Prior to that, I was the St. Paul District Commander, where I was assigned the duties of the RFO Commander for Hurricane Gustav in 2008. When the hurricane was about to hit, I got the call that I was going to be the RFO Commander. We had operations orders in place. I knew I had that responsibility, so I had already picked my team. My team flew down there. We started interacting with the PRTs prior to the mission assignment, and then once mission assignment hit, we went ahead and established a field office, moved the PRTs in there, and started conducting the missions. And we ran the full gamut of missions, including water, ice, temporary power, temporary housing, and all across the full spectrum of ESF3 operations. Well, our responsibility for the RFO was to make sure that the ESF3 missions were resourced. They had the proper equipment, they had the proper communications, office space, and vehicles and whatnot to accomplish their missions. And I worked with the PRT teams on a daily basis. We were co-located with them in an office that we established according to the op order. I participated in their safety briefings. They participated in my command update briefings, and that situation worked very well. FEMA I interacted with daily. I participated in their press conferences. I made sure I knew their priorities. I made sure that we were reporting to them what they needed and in a timely fashion. So it was a daily interaction on both sides with the ESF3 operators and the FEMA folks. We made sure we had a good RSOI process, single point of contact within the RFO building, that we processed all the PRT team members through, made sure that they knew everything about the RFO operations, who was doing what, made sure they had the local area maps and everything they needed to do their job. We made sure that that they were part of the team, that everything we did as a team, RFO team, they were included in. Made sure that as people departed, we gave them their awards before they left, and really just tried to wrap our arms around it, and it didn't matter where they were from. We tried to make them feel that they were the part of the St. Paul RFO team, which they were. Reporting was very difficult to get your arms around. All the teams had their own reporting process, and they all used Engilink to the greatest extent possible. What I found really key in the reporting process, all the information was there in their reports, and all the information capturing materials were in Engilink. The most difficult thing to do was to make sure that we stayed on a cycle, a battle rhythm, and made sure that we only used those reports or updated those reports once a day. awful lot of pressure coming from external sources to give, at the moment updates, and you really have to enforce discipline into the system to ensure that you're not giving multiple numbers out to different sources. So we found the best way to do that was to make sure that we let everybody know we were going to update it once a day, let everybody know that the data by its nature was going to be lagging a little bit from what's on the ground, but that we couldn't give multiple reports out there. And once we established that, and once all the teams had the discipline to say no to instantaneous updates, the reporting process went very smooth. Practice would be to make sure you get your auditing help in early. Make sure that your internal review folks are part of your team, that they're helping you review your processes and setting up your teams so that when the big auditors come in later, they can see that you had a plan from the very beginning to make sure that everything ran according to policy and procedure. Get your own IR guys and whatever IR guys you can have in early to help set up your systems or to refine your systems. The second piece or the third piece I would say is if you have the luxury to do so, make sure you pick your team early, make sure they all understand their responsibilities, and make sure that you rehearse. In the Mississippi Valley Division, we had that luxury of knowing one district was going to stand up the RFO, and we ran drills and tabletop drills and op order exercises, and everybody knew their roles and responsibilities. And I was also able to go to New Orleans, prior to the hurricane, and walk the ground, look at some potential office spaces, put in leases where appropriate, so that when we actually launched, everybody knew what they were doing, and everybody knew where they were going, and what we were going to do moving forward. The last piece of advice I would give is have trust in your PRTs. They know what they're doing. They're very professional. They know their business very well, and you just need to make sure that they have their priorities and make sure they have the equipment and the resources to get the job done. And like true professionals, they'll go out and make the mission work and help the people for whatever disaster you happen to be working in. Very, very good people from across the Corps.
The USACE established mission-specific PRTs in the 1990s to provide the supported district with personnel trained in FEMA requirements and in the best practices of mission starts, mission-specific contracting, construction, USACE and FEMA reporting, and mission closeout. The recovery mission PRTs are debris, roofing, housing, critical public facilities, and infrastructure assessment and repair. While not usual, there have been times when the response missions have worked from the RFO if they are prolonged due to the severity of the event. In addition to the mission PRTs, there is a contingency support team and members of functional PRTs who, if requested, will become part of the RFO staff. The PRT members are all volunteers who provide project scoping, project management, contracting officer representatives, construction management, quality assurance, and data entry capabilities. The project scoping is performed by the team's action officer, or AO, who works primarily out of the Joint Field Office with the ESF-3 team leader. The AO serves as one of the TL staff to engage with FEMA on mission scope and acceptance, as well as to collaborate on any issues that may arise. The rest of the PRT works in the RFO to perform mission planning and execution. The PRTs use ENGLink as the database of record for mission execution information. When the PRTs enter data into the Mission Essential Elements of Information, or EEI, in ENGLink, the unit's SITREP is automatically populated with the EEI data required to be reported through the MSC to headquarters USACE. The EEI data elements have been developed over many years based on the requirements to successfully manage the mission execution and based on leaders' requests. Leaders include commanders and staffs from the supported districts, divisions, and headquarters USACE. The EEI is production data, not predictive information. 2 missions have field automated systems that assist in gathering mission information and performing closeouts: debris and roofing. The Debris ACI contract has a requirement to use the Automated Debris Management System, or ADAMS, which QAs use to capture the EEI and other information in the field as the actions occur. The use of ADAMS reduces the number of QAs required by 1/3 to 1/2. ADAMS also greatly reduces the efforts required to perform the fiscal mission closeout. The general rule of thumb is 1 QA crew for every 3 contractors' debris crews. For the roofing mission, the QAs use smartphones to capture the rights of entry and owner's signatures, as well as to take pictures of the damage and repair. This greatly assists the efficiency of the ROE and QA processes, as well as mission physical and fiscal closeout. RFO leadership has historically asked for information outside of the EEI that will assist them to anticipate problems with mission execution and achieving mission completion dates. This is special information that the PRTs and district's PMs must recommend and develop outside of ENGLink. This information is often presented during Commander's update briefings or during a weekly PRB. If the supported district has not recently operated an RFO, a best practice is to request a Contingency Support Team, or CST, to assist in the RFO establishment and initiate the internal operations. The CST may initially deploy to the supported district home location and operate using the district as a base. The CST may be a short duration deployment to fill the initial gap until personnel from the supported organization move forward to the RFO. In addition to the CST, it may be helpful to request an EM from a district who has previously served as an RFO operations officer to assist in the initial operational startup. Last, it is also a best practice to request one of the ESF3 permanent cadre members to work for the commander, assist in anticipating FEMA's actions, as well as assist in developing options to abate situations that may arise. The ESF3 permanent cadre member provides short-term assistance until the commander determines the experience and advice is no longer required. The commander and staff at the RFO are accountable for mission accomplishment. The staff includes both the RFO section chiefs and the USACE Recovery PRT members, from the mission manager and mission specialist to the quality assurance inspectors. All are under the command of the supported district. All USACE employees in the disaster area are attached to the supported district with some elements in direct support, or DS, to FEMA. DS elements include the ESF3TL, Assistant Team Leaders, SMEs, miscellaneous Federal Operations Support MAs such as Public Affairs, GIS, or Housing Mission Planning Teams, Local Government Liaisons, or LGLs, and PRT Action Officers serving at the FEMA JFO. If FEMA gives a mission assignment for LGL capabilities, the LGLs are DS to the FEMA County Supervisor and serve as the ESF3TL staff member with the local government. LGLs translate and transmit unmet needs and requirements that may turn into task orders under an MA or an entirely new MA. The LGL provides a daily report to the RFO and ESF3. The TL and ATL serve as part of the FCO's staff and perform continual collaboration with the RFO commander and staff. The action officers serve as the ESF3TL staff for mission-specific coordination at the JFO to include attending mission-specific meetings, writing action request forms, or ARFs, MA task orders, daily progress reports with FEMA called ICS 215s, and physical closeout memorandums. Mission SMEs serve as specialists to assist the TL and ATL in detailed mission scoping discussions with FEMA. The SMEs have expert knowledge of the FEMA requirements and contract clauses that best serve the mission. If a USACE ACI contract is not available, the Mission SME will assist the supported district contracting officer in developing the contract. Over time, as missions are fully scoped, the SMEs may transition from the JFO to working out of the RFO and assist the commander in anticipating and avoiding problems with mission execution. In addition, as mission execution progresses and fewer FEMA meetings occur, the action officers split their time between the JFO and the RFO. This splitting of time may take 2 to 4 weeks to occur, since FEMA final mission scoping often takes a prolonged period of time.
If you have a seasoned senior level person who has done disasters before and has worked in the recovery field office, or has worked with FEMA, or has worked on the ESF3 cadre, then they probably understand that structure and they'll work well with that team. One of the things we learned is when we have new commanders come in, they come in every 3 years, maybe they've never been to a disaster, and maybe they're not fully abreast of the ESF3 structure. They understand it, but when it really comes into executing the mission, commander's in command, and that's what it should be, and we should recognize that. And all the civilians that work on the ESF3 as well on the recovery side should recognize that the commander's in charge. He knows how to be in charge. He's been trained to be in charge. He knows how to command, but also he needs some assistance in understanding the system that we have without giving it to him as a fire hose. Help him understand it, make sure, but when he doesn't understand, it's okay. Let's go ahead and sit back and say, well, we don't want to just, because we've trained our ESF3 cadre for years, they're comfortable with what they're doing. Usually you can't go up to a commander and just say, trust me, because when it comes to something like a disaster, he trusts us all, but also he's going to be skeptical and wants the best risk or best answers from everyone.
A sample RFO structure is shown here. It follows a typical Incident Command System, ICS, structure. Like a mini district, there are several sections and branches under the RFO commander. The command staff is headed by an appointed Chief of Staff. These experts provide advice relative to their regular functional areas to the commander and the RFO chief. This group consists of experts from the functional areas of safety and occupational health, contracting, Office of Counsel, real estate, public affairs, internal review, regulatory, security and law enforcement, and emergency management. There is also an operations section, administrative and finance section, logistics section, and planning section, just like the structure of a regular district. The receipt of a FEMA mission is not similar to receiving a normal authorized civil works or MILCON project. They are not as clean. In many cases, FEMA will provide the pre-scripted MA and then clarify and focus the mission scope through the task orders as their discussions with the state and locals progress. This may continue for weeks or months as the state and locals continue to request more and more tasks be federally funded or have the tasks receive a higher percentage of federal funding. While the USACE has no responsibility or authority to speak to the cost share percentages, changing or differing cost shares have impacts on the USACE accounting for missions and geographic areas with differing cost shares. This is typical with the debris MA. At times, FEMA also extends the applicant cutoff dates for housing and roofing. Extending the applicant dates extends our mission completion dates, and for roofing, extends our right of entry ROE acceptance dates. Note that missions related to the USACE's own authorities, such as PL 84-99 or Corps-owned projects, are normally retained at the supported district's headquarters. It is a best practice for the RFO commander and/or senior civilian leaders to be from the supported district since they have relationships with the staff. Often, the supported district's commander and staff have never led or worked in an RFO. It's also possible that the USACE Volunteer Planning and Response Team, PRT members, have never worked in an RFO. The USACE has in-place disaster contracts called Advanced Contract Initiative, ACI, contracts for temporary power, water, ice, debris, and roofing rapid repair. If there is an ACI that covers the mission for the disaster's geographic area, the ACI must be used to initiate the disaster mission. This direction is consistent with Headquarters USACE Parks' annual hurricane season contracting guidance. In some cases, the mission estimate may be smaller than the minimum in the ACI, and in these cases, the ACI does not have to be used or the ACI may decline the work. A best practice is to use the ACI if available in the geographic area. For the housing mission, no ACI exists. A district's local construction contractor may be used. There are specific techniques required by FEMA for the temporary construction of haul and install and group sites. At times, FEMA will assign the USACE other construction missions that are similar to our normal projects. For those missions, it is often easiest to use a supported district's existing SATOC or MATOC. A best practice regarding small business contracts is to collaborate with the Mission PRT, Mission SME, and the ESF3TL, along with FEMA and the state and local governments prior to starting with or transitioning to local small business contracts. It is easy to misinterpret the Stafford Act small business requirements. A supported district unilaterally awarding contracts to local SBs without stakeholder collaboration may result in strained relationships with stakeholders. RFO commanders and senior staff determine the information they require to best assist them in projecting mission accomplishment and to anticipate issues before they occur. The PRT, MM, and MS work with the plan's PM section to project production, burn rate, and personnel requirements. A best practice is to have PMs or mission liaisons from the district work with the commander, plans section, and PRTs to determine what information will best assist the commander. These mission liaisons also provide local knowledge to the PRT and continuity for the RFO.
Closeout is also very interesting because it's a lot of planning. The PRTs, in conjunction with the command staff at the RFO, have to do the projections on when they think the mission will be finished and how they can draw down people. So we wind up with two sets of pieces to close out. You have the physical closeout, which allows you to take the people, you reduce the quality assurance inspectors down, you slowly transition them back to their districts from where they came. Eventually you get to where you can release everyone because the missions are complete, and missions are not complete until FEMA signs a piece of paper agreeing that they're complete. And so then the physical closeout is done, and the PRTs have all transitioned back to their districts. The next part is fiscal closeout, which is really the harder part because we have to wait for the contractors to send in their billings. We have to wait for any requests for equitable adjustments or claims. And that takes time for those to come in, for contracting to review them, for contracting and legal to adjudicate them, for members who have been involved with the mission from the supported district to work with contracting and RM on reviewing all the billings to ensure that the billings are correct, have the billings verified, send those billings to FEMA. FEMA Finance sends the money back, we pay the contractor. So that's an extended piece, the fiscal closeout, which can take 30 days, 60 days, 90 days, sometimes 180 days. And so the supported district really is involved for a good amount of time.
While the RFO may close out, the ESF3 elements may remain at the FEMA JFO for a period of time to continue to convey confidence in FEMA that the USACE is not disengaging. When ESF3 is released from the FEMA JFO, the TL will publish an ESF3 transition memorandum in collaboration with the supported district and division. FEMA will concur with the memorandum, which will then be forwarded through the supported district to the supported division. After FEMA concurs with the transition memorandum, the ESF3 TL is released for home station. It is normal for the last serving TL to remain engaged remotely, virtually, until all missions are physically and fiscally closed out. A few best practices to remember include the following. The RFO commander and staff determine the mission projection information they require to assist in anticipating mission issues and accomplishment. Deploy a contingency support team, CST, ULA, and ERRT to assist in the RFO establishment and initial operations. Deploy district internal review to advise during the event. This typically results in smoother closeout. Deploy an EM from a district who has previously served as an RFO operations officer to assist the ops chief and commander. Deploy an ESF-3 permanent cadre member to assist the RFO commander. Employ the RFO commander and/or senior civilian leaders from the supported district. Employ the contracting and resource management from the supported district. Use PM's mission liaisons from the supported district. Use the ACI. Collaborate with the PRT, SME, ESF-3TL, FEMA, and state, local governments before transitioning to small business contracts. This concludes our RFO awareness training. Disaster response and recovery is demanding work that is performed in an expedited manner within austere environments by expert teams from across the USACE. Thank you for watching this video. We hope it will assist you should the need arise for you to lead a disaster effort in the future.